You're watching HQ Spotlight on CBS Sports Network. We talk about players needing a Heisman moment to get into serious contention. Travis Hunter has had a few. On top of his defensive heroics Saturday, fifth straight game with 100 yards more. Our Josh Pate, you saw the quote there. Host of Josh Pate's college football show says he'd give his Heisman vote to Travis Hunter. But he doesn't have a Heisman vote. You know who does? Our Tom Fornelli. He's here to give us his Heisman Hierarchy. Joining us, the always entertaining and informative Fornelli from the Cover 3 podcast. Tom, let's get into this hierarchy. Give us the top of the pyramid here. Who's your Heisman favorite?
Yeah, the odds-on favorite to win the award right now, no matter what Pate thinks about Travis Hunter, is currently Miami quarterback Cam Ward, which it's an odd position simply because Cam is playing very well. He's there for plenty of good reasons. It's just a lot of the guys who were at the top of the board have fallen off in recent weeks. Quinn Ewers got injured 2 weeks ago. Carson Beck had a terrible game against Kentucky, and Cam has continued to play well. He's got 1,439 yards passing and 14 touchdowns on the season. But one of the things that's working against him is that season opener against Florida, he played great, but time has shown that Florida, not a very good football team, and pretty much every quarterback that has faced the Gators has had a good day against them. And you look going forward, he doesn't really have a ton of huge spotlight games on this schedule that Miami has to face the rest of the season that will kind of really help his cause. Like Friday night, they're playing Virginia Tech. That is a spotlight game where everybody will be watching, so it gives them a chance to play well. But Virginia Tech's already lost to Rutgers and Vanderbilt, so I'm not sure how much credit they're going to get. And then the next biggest game on the schedule is Louisville, which is a good team, but not exactly a needle mover. So Miami's kind of been hurt by Florida State suffering. So Cam Ward, it's one of those things where the Canes certainly need to keep winning, but he has to play extremely well, I think, to hold on to this as the season goes along, or else somebody else is going to kind of jump up and take the top spot from him.
And you saw his Heisman odds there, plus 350 as the favorite right now. Okay, so who's at the second level? Give us your two guys who are one moment away, we call it.
All right, Josh Pate's not totally far off. Travis Hunter is right there. He is in contention. I mean, if the Heisman Trophy was fulfilled the way that it is intended to, in that the best player in the country got the award, Travis Hunter would win the award, because there is not a football player on any team in any part of the country who is better at football than Travis Hunter. He plays both sides of the ball. We saw in the last segment, Ryan Wilson's talking about him. NFL teams are considering possibly using him on both sides. Not to the extent Colorado is, but he's been a fantastic receiver in that offense, averaging 118 yards and over a touchdown per game so far. And if you look at his defensive stats, they don't jump off the page, but that's because nobody's stupid enough to throw a ball to the guy that Travis Hunter is covering, because it's not going to work well for him. And on that other tier alongside him is Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, who is having another very solid year. Shocker of all shocks, the marriage of Kalen DeBoer and any quarterback on earth is working really well. We saw what he did for Michael Penix last year, and he's helped Jalen Milroe take a step forward as a passer this season. The Crimson Tide had last week off after that big win against Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, but there is a huge game this weekend. I don't know if you've heard. Alabama is hosting Georgia in Tuscaloosa. That's the kind of game. If Jalen Milroe plays well and beats Georgia, just like he did in the SEC championship, I guarantee you that come Sunday morning, if even not Saturday night, Jalen Milroe will be the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy.
And that game could be a little spicy depending on how the weather lays out for the rest of this week. Lastly, let's talk about that three line. Has three on it. So who are the wait-and-see guys?
Yeah, you know, I have to give this guy his flowers. I'm talking about Clemson quarterback Cade Mays, who I have been extremely critical of these last couple of years. And I was very critical of him after that first game of the season against Georgia, in which he and the rest of his team just got pantsed. They looked terrible, but Cade has really bounced back since then. The last 2 weeks, he's thrown for 587 yards. He's rushed for 75, and he has 11 total touchdowns in those 2 games. And I think that if you look at that Georgia performance, yes, it was awful, but it was also very early in the season. And I know my Heisman voters, we have very short attention spans, Jeremy. By the time the season ends, if Cade Mays is playing very well and Clemson's playing for an ACC title and in the playoff, they will have forgotten about that game. Next on the list, Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. Listen, Ohio State hasn't played anybody yet. We have absolutely no idea what this team is going to look like as the season goes on. They have basically been in preseason mode against teams that are terrible compared to them. So we haven't seen what they're fully capable of. But I have him here because he is at the helm of one of the most explosive offenses in the country, and the Buckeyes are going to be opening Big Ten play this weekend at Michigan State. So we will finally get a glimpse of what this team looks like against actual competition. So he is going to start entering this conversation more and more as the Buckeyes move along. And finally, here's a guy I don't think has any actual chance of winning the award because he plays the wrong position and he plays for the wrong team. But I have to give him credit because he is awesome. Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. He is the most explosive running back in the country. Not only is he carrying the ball more than anybody but two other players in the nation, he has an explosive rate of 20.73%, which is ridiculous for a guy who gets the workload he does. And another fun fact about this, Iowa has faced 8-man or more fronts 22 plays a game. That is a third of the plays that the Hawkeyes have run on offense. They are facing stacked boxes. Caleb Johnson is averaging 10.4 yards per carry when Iowa faces a stacked box. The average college running back this season in the same situation is averaging 4 yards per carry. I repeat, Caleb Johnson is at 10.4. He is more than doubling up every other running back in the country. He has been phenomenal. And if this is 1995, there's no question who your Heisman winner is. It's Caleb Johnson, but it's 2024, so it's probably going to be the quarterback of the national title contender.
I love that you're throwing the Iowa running back in there, though, Tom. Great stuff. Our college football analyst, Tom Fornelli. Heisman Hierarchy here on HQ Spotlight.